What's up, potheads and political junkies? You're watching Cannabis Culture News Live. I'm Jeremiah Vandermeer, editor of Cannabis Culture, and it is Friday, January 11th today. Big show for you guys today. Alright, looks like we're back. A little blackness there. Anyway, so I was just getting into the intro here. So classic session on the B-Real network. That's going to be Tuesdays from 11 to 1 p.m. Pacific time. Every week, I believe. So we'll talk to those boys about what's happening with that. Also on the show today, Rob Corry, the co-founder of Club 64 in Colorado. It's Colorado's first marijuana smoking club. So he's going to join the program. He's just coming back from the O'Reilly factor, so we're going to talk to him by phone. We'll see how he did up against Bill O. And there's been a lot of press about this Club 64. He's been on CNN, the Young Turks, all over the place. And so we'll definitely have a good conversation with him. Also got some videos to play for you guys. We're going to smoke a lot of herb today. What else we got here? I'm going to play a video up front here that I was perusing the internet and came across. This one is actually from about a week or just more ago, I think. Judge Napolitano, who is a libertarian right-winger, but I actually end up agreeing with the judge on a heck of a lot of stuff. I like his libertarian philosophies. I think the government should get the hell out of people's business. And shut off the sound in the background, somebody said. Yeah, it's kind of loud in here. We're in the lounge. It's busy. So we've got our sound curtains closing. Maybe you want to close the other one, Mars? Awesome. That might help a little bit. Also, okay, we're going to play other videos. I got a whole lineup of videos. But yeah, first this one from Judge Napolitano on Fox. He's actually on another Fox Business show, but they always have him as a guest. And he was talking about what's happening in the United States with Obama, and actually about what's happening in California with landlords there, and whether or not landlords are actually allowed to shut people down for pot. So I'll cue this one up. On the other side, we'll come back and puff out of the bong, watch some more videos, and then we'll have Rob Corry up pretty quick.
Landlords in California suffered a major blow after a federal judge rules in favor of medical marijuana dispensaries. In the ruling, dispensaries are allowed to stay put even if their landlord doesn't want them there. All right, Judge Andrew Napolitano is here.
You know, it's interesting, the New Jersey-California juxtapositioning.
Yeah.
Because not far from here in Montclair, New Jersey, is a tenant of a landlord of real estate that openly and notoriously dispenses medical marijuana. The state is aware of it, and the state authorizes it. The federal government is aware of it and does nothing. Go 3,000 miles to the west in the city of Oakland, California, and you have a landlord trying to kick out the tenant, and you have the federal government trying to seize the property from the landlord because the tenant, in compliance with California law, same laws as the New Jersey law, is distributing medical marijuana. So the federal government has addressed these two issues in a vastly different way. California, a federal magistrate judge said, you know, it's a preliminary injunction. It's too early. You don't have the right to kick them out now. The federal government doesn't have the right to seize the property now. We're actually going to have a trial and see what the effects of this are.
So it's not a total reversal. It's
correct.
Just spinning out the process.
It is a preliminary setback for the Victorian forces that want to interfere with the state law permitting the dispensing of medical marijuana.
Why did you use the expression of the Victorian?
Dude, that's my great-grandmother. He shouldn't speak of her that way.
All right. When do you think, when, if ever, do you think that we will have legalized marijuana in the United States on a federal basis? All across the country, legal.
You know, I don't know if it will come on a federal basis whereby it actually is, the laws are actually rewritten by Congress. It may come on a federal basis where the federal government looks the other way and says, we're not going to punish people for using it in the privacy of their homes in states where it is legal. The Justice Department has already said that with respect to Colorado and Washington. Use it in your car, use it in a street, sell it on a street corner, we'll come after you. Use it in your home, buy it from a place licensed by the government of Colorado or the state of Washington, we will not come after you.
I don't understand why the Obama administration holds that hard line against the legalization of marijuana. I would have thought that a man on the left, a president, he is on the left. I would have thought he would have come over and said, okay.
Maybe it's because he doesn't have to seek re-election again.
But he doesn't.
Right, but
so it's not a political issue to him.
Yeah, so maybe he doesn't care about pleasing various constituencies. I don't know what his personal views on medical marijuana are, but he has apparently directed the Justice Department to look the other way in Colorado and Washington.
Yeah, but not in California.
Not in California,
well,
which is very... Now, Colorado and Washington, I'm talking about recreational use of marijuana, which is the more difficult case to sell, because there anybody over 21 in the privacy of their home can use it. At least in California, there's the learned intermediary. You have to go to a doctor, demonstrate the existence of pain, demonstrate that no conventional lawful means has worked to alleviate your pain, and then the doctor, at least it's the way it's supposed to work, and then the doctor will give you a prescription for it. That's what the feds are interfering with.
Do you think
it's inexplicable that they would do so in California and not in New Jersey. I'm not arguing for them to do it in New Jersey. I'm arguing for them to treat the states equally. Permit it in New Jersey, you should permit it in California.
Make a judgment. Do you think that in 20 years, say, in the year 2000 and whatever it is, 20 years from now, you think we'll have the ability to light up a marijuana cigarette anywhere in America and not get prosecuted for it?
I think in the privacy of a home, yes. I don't think so in a car or in a public place or in the presence of children. I think yes. I think that the experiments in Colorado and Washington will show there's a legitimate market for it.
You regard it as an experiment there? You think that
well,
set the pattern?
Justice Brennan called the states, the 50 states, laboratories of democracy. So this is sort of an experiment.
Okay.
Let's face it, the country's pretty much lost its right to smoke tobacco cigarettes anywhere it wants right now, let alone marijuana cigarettes.
That is an interesting observation, specifically with the president's supporters, who are ardent opponents of tobacco and proponents of marijuana.
Fascinating.
You explain that one.
No, I don't think I can. No, that's tortuous logic, and I couldn't do it. All right, Judge, always welcome. Thank you very much indeed, sir.
All right. We're back. Hey, this auto transition on this key, that's why. All right. Nice and smooth for you guys. All right, so I'm standing here with Neil Magnuson, who just popped by. Long-time Vancouver activist. Neil, good to have you on the program again. You've been on many times before. You are on the Freedom Tour. We're on the Freedom Tour. You just wrapped it up.
Wrapped it up, a little delay getting home, but yeah, 5.5 months on the road doing the Freedom Tour.
And so tell people what the Freedom Tour is and tell us how it went.
Freedom Tour is the 4th year. I've gone across country educating in mayor's offices and police stations and other things on behalf of LEAP and the whole cause. And talking about freedom, what the role of government is supposed to be in a free country, to protect the freedom of their citizens. The dangers and costs of prohibiting substances and the value of cannabis and hemp. This year I went coast to coast. I went to every police station that I could find. I went 34,000 kilometers and filed documents at every police station asking for an investigation into the federal government as to why they would be spending $1 billion Canadian taxpayer dollars every year on a policy that is clearly not giving anything back to the taxpayers. There's nothing coming back at all. It's all just money down the drain, and worse than that, it worsens all the issues to do with drug abuse. It drives everything underground to a completely unregulated black market, disrespect for laws and police. We know all of these things. The Senate said so in 2002, and that was part of the documents that I provided to the police, was the Senate report from 2002. So that's what I did, and yeah, 5.5 months, a long time on the road. I feel very good about it. I don't know what it will result in, other than that I certainly did insert a virus, if you will, into a virus of truth, into the minds of many police officers. The mayors from coast to coast were almost all already on board with the other mayors here in British Columbia.
They're all definitely coming on board. The municipalities, they had their big, huge meeting of all the mayors, and they all voted.
They all endorsed the Stop the Violence campaign.
That's right.
Also one of my handouts there.
Yeah.
So,
So, Mari, it sounds like we're having a bit of sound problems there.
All right. Now we're back. Now do we have sound?
Do we have sound? It's almost 4:20.
How's that sound? Any better now? Yay, there's the sound for y'all. Fixed? Okay, so if you guys didn't hear Neil, we were talking about the Freedom Tour that Neil's been on across Canada. Neil, just quickly recap what you said there.
Went coast to coast, 34,000 kilometers, visited police stations and mayor's offices across the country. I brought a handout, 7 pages, double-sided, with really good information about the latest from the mayors in BC that are condemning the prohibition, from the attorney generals and all that kind of stuff. I filed them as complaints at the police stations coast to coast and grounds for an investigation into the federal government as to why they would still be wasting $1 billion of our tax money every year on a policy that's not only failed, but is causing way more problems for us than it's ever attempted to solve. So that was the Freedom Tour, 5.5 months, an awesome time.
5.5 months. That's a long time on the road.
It was only supposed to be 5.
Right.
But
and now
yeah.
this is, how many times have you done the Freedom Tour?
This is the 4th time.
4th time now.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's cool. Very cool.
I met a
And you
whole
guys
bunch of
filmed
people
as you went.
I
right?
filmed a lot. I've got a lot of pictures. I'm just such an anti-computer guy. I don't know what it is, but I can't seem to load pictures onto Facebook even. You know, I can do one at a time is all I can do, and I don't want to load one at a time.
Savvy, brother.
I got hundreds, and I want to put them up, and I will. That's still coming. But yeah, lots of pictures, lots of video, and some of it went up on Freedom Tour 2012, the event page on Facebook that you can find, either linked through my page, Neil Magnuson, or Freedom Tour 2012 event page should come up.
Right.
All the stories, posts from every day, you know, lots of videos of meetings with mayors and pictures and all that kind of stuff too. So, and I don't know what I accomplished other than I feel really good about it. You know,
Right.
there's a lot of good conversations that come to mind that I had with different police officers and other people across the country, and so I feel really good.
Spreading the message at the very least,
message,
right?
for sure, yeah.
Neil, do you have a lighter on you?
I do, because it's 420, right?
It's just about 420.
It's 420.
Oh, there's the 420 alarm. Happy 420 out there, Pod TV. Neil, would
of
you like
which-
to take the bong rip first?
Oh, all right.
Hit Duchess there for you.
Here, you hold that for me.
I'll take that.
Okay.
Smoking Duchess. Duchess is, of course, the co-host of the show. Should probably name drop more often. She can't talk herself, but she has other ways of communicating.
Oh, that was a good one. That was a good one.
Awesome. I'm going to load one of those for myself as well. So what were the response?
Ooh.
You know, you talked about mayors and people getting on board. You talked to a lot of police officers, and I know,
Yep.
Neil, you love talking to cops. And how,
Well, I mean, I've gotten okay with talking to cops.
you love, every time I see you, wherever we are, if we go do an activist event, you always
Yeah.
go straight for the cops.
I want to talk to
Yeah.
cops, you know, I do, because they're important to this movement. Maybe when people fill the streets to finally force the government to change, the police will join us in that response, as
Right.
opposed to being on the other side. And so I do want to talk to police. I think that's very important. I value police, or at least what they're supposed to be in our society. We all are afraid of them because they're all taxed with having to enforce these laws which scare us, that we don't agree with, that, you know, put us in jeopardy, those of us that are part of this culture. And it certainly is a culture that we're part of.
For sure.
So what were some of the responses of the police? I had 2 hostile police in 5.5 months. Only 2 that had a hostile attitude towards me. One slammed the window down on the thing there in the police station. I was talking to him through. He didn't like that I had a cannabis leaf superimposed over the maple leaf on the flag. He said that was very disrespectful, and I tried to explain to him that because we're talking about disrespectful laws that are very disrespectful.
Crashings.
It could be crashings, technical difficulties, or maybe the evil empire is tampering with the Pot TV network. You never know.
Yeah, they tamper with it every week.
Yeah, as soon as we mention what the police response was, it seems to crash. So
Now,
you know, my
we're
website
very
was
used
down
to technical
too, so.
problems on this show and this live stream network, because there is at least one problem every show, whether it's a crash or the browser not working or whatever it is. Yeah, exactly. Loose cables,
We could
Marius,
have like a
wink,
poll
wink,
and have
wink,
people
nudge,
guess what the
nudge.
next problem will be and give away weed if they're right or something.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think it's hard to anticipate sometimes.
You never know. So yeah, the
Yeah.
response from police, like I said, the 2 hostile guys, the one that said I was wasting police resources, which was very crazy and ironic.
Yeah,
because
that
that's-
is really
that's
funny.
exactly what I'm complaining about.
You're
But
wasting
you know,
police resources.
I had some awesome responses from a lot of police on the very positive side. The most memorable would be the senior, I think he was the deputy chief in Sault Ste. Marie. We sat down for close to a half an hour and talked about the real problems that police are having with these laws and the disrespect that they're getting.
Yeah.
And by the end of the meeting, he was all animated. He got up, he slammed his hand on the table. He said, "You're right, something has to be done about this. Something needs to be done." He thanked me. He shook my hand 3 times as I went out the door. Thank you,
Nice.
Mr. Magnuson. So that was really positive.
Most police I talk to, I have a positive interaction with. And, you know, a lot of them, the majority of the ones that I've spoken with from the Vancouver Police Department, whenever we're at events, they always say, "Hey, man, I just do what I'm told. These aren't my laws, and I don't really like it." But
I had a lot of police ask me to continue to do what I'm doing and thank me for it. That's a powerful thing to me, because there's some debate whether I do this again next year or how I might do it.
Right.
So that's very powerful for sure. I was arrested in Edmonton on an old warrant from another Freedom Tour in 2008 on cannabis possession charges. There was a number of different really good experiences during that arrest from the Edmonton police and things that they said to me and the way they handled me. They were so kind. But the cop at the end that let me go, we were standing outside now, the police station, it's 2 in the morning, and he says, "Neil, from one toker to another, I thank you for what you're doing, and I wish you the best. So
Very cool.
You know, I won't say his name, and I told him I wouldn't use his name, but I did tell him that I was going to post that on my nightly post, and he said that he was fine with that. So I think there's a lot of cops that don't like these policies and would be happy to see somebody trying to do something about changing them.
Yeah, agreed, man. Well, very cool. I'm glad you could stop by, Neil. That was awesome. We'll have you back again. You have some other stuff to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, we could go for a little while on some other stuff.
We could. We've got some other things to talk about.
Yeah.
I got a lot to do on the show today, but we'll have you back about the little thing that you whispered to me earlier. What are you doing next week? Can you come back next week and talk about
No,
that?
next week the memorial for my friend Jim, that was the first guy I stayed with on the Freedom Tour. He passed away a week before I got home suddenly of a heart attack, so I've got to go there for that. And the Liberals are having a convention in Surrey, a leadership debate, and I'm going to be there right after that. I'm getting the first ferry back to help them tweak their cannabis policy, which the first draft of is going to blow some people's minds.
And that's kind of what I wanted to talk to you about.
We'll come back and talk about that.
All right.
Thanks
Excellent,
for having me.
Neil. Thanks for coming on, as usual. Neil Magnuson, Vancouver activist, the Freedom Tour. And Neil, what's the website address?
Well, freedomtour.ca is still down. So
oh, it's still down.
2012 on Facebook.
Freedom Tour 2012 on Facebook. Freedomtour.ca will be up sometime soon.
Sometime it'll be up.
All right. Thanks, Neil. Very cool. Well, I'm going to play another little video here about what's going on down in the United States. So, for those who watch the show, you guys all know Colorado. Okay, well, not sure why we're crashing here, but we're devising. Maybe we should try a completely different router or something. Sometimes we have a bad internet feed for whatever reason on one of our routers, so we switch over to our other line. But if it happens again, then we'll probably switch over. But it seems to be being fairly consistent here. Sometimes on Fridays, live stream doesn't work so well. But all right, I'm going to go ahead and play this clip I was talking about. I was talking about the green rush in Washington and Colorado, and as businesses get into the new legal marijuana, recreational marijuana trade, people are expecting some money transfers to go on here, some big business economy working around this. So let's check this out. This is NBC, I believe. Green rush. All right, we're back. So that was a little video about the green rush happening in Washington and Colorado. And on the phone right now, we have Rob Corry, who is the co-founder of the new Club 64 in Colorado. Now, this is one of Colorado's first smoking clubs. There was a few that opened on the same day, I think, there. Rob, good to have you on the show.
Good to be here.
Excellent. Now, Rob, you've been getting a heck of a lot of press since Club 64 opened just a few days ago. And you just came from the O'Reilly factor, didn't you? You were just hanging with Bill O right now?
I did. I was hanging out on the O'Reilly factor, and, it was a fun experience. Bill O'Reilly had some pointed questions, but really this just comes down to freedom. This is even bigger than marijuana.
Right, so let's talk a little bit about Club 64, and then we'll get back into what happened on the O'Reilly factor. But Club 64, maybe just tell people what it looks like, what the plan is, and what you guys have there.
Well, Club 64 is allowed by Amendment 64, which says adults can get together and consume cannabis in private. And, as you know, Amendment 64 was the alcohol marijuana equalization initiative. And last time I checked, there were thousands and thousands of alcohol clubs. We call them bars or taverns. And these are places where adults get together and consume alcohol together, and it's a good experience for everyone, 99% of the time. And at our club, it's a good experience to get together and consume marijuana together. So this is allowed by Amendment 64. It was exactly what the voters of Colorado intended, and we wanted to be the first, and we wanted to open in 2012, which is what we did a historic year for the world and for America, because that's where 2 states legalized cannabis.
Right. Now, this opened just last week, didn't it?
It did. We did our inaugural event on New Year's Eve, and we felt like that was an appropriate time because that's traditionally an alcohol-soaked holiday, and we did have some alcohol there. We're not offended by alcohol by any means, and we had some marijuana there too, and it was a positive experience for everyone. We had music, we had a DJ, there was some dancing, some videos being played up on the wall. We held the event at the Hemp Hood Lab, which is a hemp clothing dealer, and unfortunately he has to get all of his raw product from your country north of the border because our country is still living in the dark ages and doesn't allow hemp, which isn't even a drug, as we all know, but it's just part of the hysteria. But, you know, our host was very happy to have us there, and his business benefited from our presence. So it was a great event. Everyone was happy there. I didn't hear a single complaint, and it was just overwhelmingly positive.
So if I was going to come and hang out at Club 64, what would I be doing there? Like, how does it look inside, and like, what's the setup? Do you guys have vaporizers for people?
It's pretty easy. You know, you pay for your event in advance online, pay for your event fee, and also your membership if you want to join. And, you know, we charge $30 for a membership fee, and the event was free if you became a member. And that membership lasts a year, and so then you get the address emailed back to you with a map once you pay for it. We keep the address confidential for a number of reasons. And so then you show up, and it's just a very positive thing. You walk in, you may have another adult offer you marijuana, you may not, and you know, everyone was satisfied with what they saw there.
Cool. And so you've been getting a lot of press. You were on CNN. Last week you did the Young Turks, the biggest internet show out there. And, of course, you were doing O'Reilly today on Fox. How is the response from the newscasters and the people like O'Reilly? I wouldn't call him a journalist, but whatever he is.
Well, he's offended by this idea. You know, he raises the canard of, well, what about people driving home intoxicated, which, you know, that's just a non-issue because we have bars and we are adults. And when we decide to go out to bars with our friends, we responsible adults make arrangements. We have a designated driver, we get a taxi cab, we walk, etc. So, you know, that's just a non-criticism, and I think O'Reilly knew it. And, you know, that's really the only criticism. We haven't heard anything negative from our traditional opponents, not a peep. The federal government has said nothing. The city and county of Denver, zero. The state attorney general is usually, you know, condemning everything we do, and then utterly silent. I think our opponents understand that this is legal. You know, they know they got trounced at the ballot box, and they're going to take their medicine and deal with it and move on. So it's clearly legal, and people love it. They love the idea. It's just the only reason they love it so much is because we couldn't do it for so many years. Right. And eventually these will become very common, and it'll be just a normal thing, as normal as going to a bar, which is what we wanted, and that's what the voters of Colorado wanted as well.
Right. Now, there has been a little bit of criticism from the marijuana community itself rather than the traditional opponents. But just last week, Mason Tvert of Amendment 64, the man who is behind the campaign to actually have it legalized there, I asked him about Club 64, and he mentioned that he thought it was moving a little too fast, and didn't sound like he was a supporter. So is that, I mean, you've been getting some of that from people as well, haven't you?
We've been getting a little bit of that, but not too much. I do take Mason's criticism seriously. He's a serious player, and I respect him greatly. And you know, I did reach out to him after he said that. I don't think he disagrees with the idea. He just disagrees with the timing of it. But you know, nobody owns Amendment 64. Nobody owns the Colorado Constitution. Freedoms are there right now for the taking, and freedom is like your constitutional rights are like a muscle. I mean, you have to exercise them, otherwise they atrophy. And you know, we are exercising our constitutional rights. And if you think about it, you know, medical marijuana paved the way for recreational marijuana. It had to be medical first to get where we are today. And there were lots of people in the pro-marijuana movement who thought we were moving too fast on medical. Well, what we did, though, with the medical was, and I helped build a lot of these centers and dispensaries and set them up and got them up and running legally. What we did with the medical was we showed the public that this is safe, this is regulated, this is normal. Western culture will endure. If we have, you know, 800 stores in Denver or 800 stores in Colorado, rather, selling marijuana for profit, which is exactly what we have, and we're not hurting anyone, we're not disturbing anyone. So once the general population, the people in the middle who really aren't on one side or the other, once they see that and once they get used to it, everything works better and everything falls into place. Same thing with Club 64. person in the middle who doesn't have an agenda one way or the other, that critical 30% of swing voters, which is how we won this election, those people will realize that cannabis clubs are normal, they're safe. In fact, we are safer than, in some cases, making people smoke it at home, because they may have children there. They may not have a home environment that works for them, and this environment may work better for a lot of people. So people will get used to it. And, it's too bad that some in our movement are a little reluctant to push the envelope, and some are. And that's the beauty of the cannabis movement. We are not a monolith, and we are incredibly diverse. Some of us move more quickly than others. And Mason is welcome at our club. I think he would enjoy himself, and I think he would see that we're putting a positive face on this movement.
Rob, maybe tell us a little bit about you. Now, this isn't your first foray into marijuana activism or a business at all. You've been working on pot stuff for a while.
We have. I mean, I've litigated a lot of these marijuana cases in the criminal courts and in the civil courts. I've spent thousands of hours in criminal courts defending people against serious criminal charges where they're facing prison, all for just growing marijuana. I mean, it's ridiculous. And, we've also set up the majority of the dispensaries that are currently operating in the state, and we've brought some of the key civil cases in order to establish the patient rights in Colorado. For example, we struck down the 5-patient limit for caregivers, which ushered in modern dispensary industry here. And, the irony is, I've spent so many thousands of hours on these important cases without notice from anyone like O'Reilly and CNN, and then I just, on a whim, open this club, throw it together, and boom, the world takes notice. And, it's just funny how the world works, I guess. Never thought I'd be a club owner.
Yeah, it's funny what they really pay attention to. Well, it just shows you priorities in the media, I guess. But
and we got lucky because we did it on New Year's Eve, which is a media dead zone, as you probably know, being in the media yourself. There's not much going on that day, and everybody took notice of it, and it was perfectly calibrated to the holiday that all the news is reporting on anyway. So it worked out great.
Well, it definitely made national.
Wait till our next event. Our next event is going to be even bigger, I think, as far as the splash, and you'll see what I'm talking about very soon.
Well, I'm excited. This one was a big splash, though, because even here in Vancouver, our local paper, The Province, had an article about you. So it's definitely making the rounds.
Which is the irony, you guys are the longtime leader in bud. We all know that, and then all of a sudden, Colorado is a little bit more advanced than BC bud area, but I know you'll catch up and probably surpass us.
Yeah, well, it's funny because, I know there's the criticism that you're moving a little bit too fast, but I'm actually broadcasting from a vapor lounge right now here in Vancouver, which is totally illegal. Yeah. It's not legal at all, and we've been here for over 5 years, so... maybe we're moving too fast too, but when you push these limits a little bit, you got to see what you can get, I think, sometimes. So, I don't know. I have my own thoughts on that.
This is a civil rights movement. This is a political movement. This is much bigger than just marijuana. This is about human rights, and you've got to take some chances. They didn't desegregate Alabama by laying back and waiting. You have to put it in people's faces, and I'll bet your vapor lounge there has been an overwhelmingly positive, peaceful, enjoyable place, and it's probably not, a knife fight every other weekend like the average bar.
No, never. We've never had any real problems here in our lounge in 5 years. And we actually are on a block that has several bars on it, and we see what happens at the bars every night, of course, right outside of it. Nobody's stumbling out of our place drunk and fighting, so... Yep. Yeah, no, it's very cool. Well, Rob, I'd love to have you back on after what you guys come up with next. Sounds like it's going to make a splash, but we'll definitely have you back on to talk about whatever you guys are up to down there in Colorado.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and I'm glad. I can't wait to see the O'Reilly factor and what he threw at you there.
It was pretty civil. He was quite civilized, and I tried to be very civil because you don't want to get thrown into the mud with a debate. He is a smart man. He's very quick, and I didn't want to descend into the depths of the mud with him. So
no kidding.
I think it was good. Tell
Excellent.
me what you think.
I will, for sure. Yeah, I guess that they make it available online, so we'll definitely post that up on Pot TV as well for our viewers. But Rob Corry, thank you very much. I wish you the best of luck at Club 64, and we'll definitely talk to you again soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
Bye.
So, Rob Corry, that was very cool. Club 64. There is some criticism from within the movement, and maybe I think because they're sort of teetering right now with the whole Obama situation. And this is something that I was going to bring up at the beginning of the show, but didn't. Right now, the Obama administration is basically deciding what they're going to do about Colorado and Washington. So I think that people like Mason and other activists are probably really nervous about pushing the limits too far right in this particular stage. They don't want negative press. They don't want negative attention. And it is kind of a weird fence sitting that the Obama administration is attempting to pull off right now, because we have this in front of me on the screen here. I have a We the People petition response from Gil Kurlikowski. Now that's Obama's drug czar, and it's titled "Addressing the Legalization of Marijuana." This was just released a couple days ago. It says by Gil Kurlikowski here, "Thank you for participating in We the People and speaking out on the legalization of marijuana. Coming out of the recent election, it's clear that we're in the midst of a serious national conversation about marijuana. At President Obama's request, the Justice Department is reviewing the legalization initiatives passed in Colorado and Washington, given differences between state and federal law. In the meantime, please see a recent interview with Barbara Walters in which President Obama addresses the legalization of marijuana." And then they just put a partial transcript of Obama talking to Barbara Walters, and you guys have seen that on this show over the past couple of weeks. I've played it a few times. So, yeah, that's a little bit different than what Gil Kurlikowski said 1 year ago at this time when he went on this long rant about how marijuana is bad for you and so on and so forth. But now, after this was released just a few days ago, there's a news article that just came out on the Huffington Post from a couple days ago as well. And I guess at the same time that he released that statement, he also, this is Kurlikowski, was on the road, and he said, he was talking, let's see here, what did he say? Where is it? Oh yeah, Gil Kurlikowski in San Francisco is where he was, and he was slamming medical marijuana despite his own response to the petition. I have a Huffington Post article in front of me from San Francisco. It says, "America's top drug enforcers' comments about medical marijuana in San Francisco earlier this week have some cannabis reform activists raising their eyebrows, especially in light of his response." So this is what Kurlikowski said. "Calling marijuana medicine sends a terrible message to teenagers," he said, adding that medical marijuana has never been through the FDA process. So he's still dissing medical marijuana and saying that it's useless. But of course, this article points out that he should talk to one of the, tons of people at all of these different institutions if he really doesn't believe that marijuana has some medical use. I'm just trying to find the part in the article that actually says that, but I can't. I thought it was this article. But of course, there's lots of different groups in the United States that have come out in support of medical marijuana. Unfortunately, the doctors themselves are still behind the times in a lot of ways, but we do have a lot of evidence that medical marijuana works. We have 18 states. We have, in Canada, a legal program in our government as well. So it's not just out of nowhere. So the drug czar and the federal government of the United States is definitely behind the times when it comes to this issue. All right. So what else? I guess rather than playing any more videos right now, I got a team of guys in the room here who I think want to come up here and puff down. So class in session. Class in session on the B-Real.TV network. Now, B-Real is from Cypress Hill. You guys probably know who he is. Cypress Hill has been puffing hard and rapping about it since 1991 or 1990. And yeah, you guys can just come around. I think we should take the screen down here probably. Make a little space. And we'll get you guys a microphone here. You guys can use this mic. All right. The potfessors.
We are
pot professors.
We are the potfessors.
Pot confessors. Confessors. Proclaimers. All right, so... Thanks, Marius. Awesome. So, Al the Alchemist is the man behind the helm of this new project, I do believe. And back behind us here we have Arashish and Adam Bowen, Chris Bennett, and all three of them have been on the show before, I do believe. At least all three of them have been on Pod TV a lot. So if you don't know them, watch some old Pod TV episodes to find out. Yeah, I got lots of room. Okay, excellent. Here, you guys can squeeze in. Yeah,
come on in.
In the background. There we go. Look at that. We got a big gang.
There we are.
Nice. So tell us about the show.
Well, it's a new thing. We landed with B-Real. We got a daytime slot. It's 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Every Tuesday Pacific time. And basically, it's kind of a blend of weeducation and edutainment. So we're going to be schooling people on the relationships between religion, history, music, and just underground society, and their relationship with cannabis and other different substances, I guess you can call them.
And it's a 2-hour show?
It is a 2-hour show.
And that's 11 to 1 on Tuesdays.
You got it.
B-Real.tv.
Yeah.
Now, so the B-Real network, tell us a little bit about what B-Real's got going on there.
Well, B-Real, I guess, set up this podcast network, and he's got quite a few shows going on, but didn't have anything going on for daytime slots.
Right.
So.
And B-Real was here in the house. We were hanging with him.
B-Real was here, yeah, and that was kind of the birth of this whole thing. We kept in touch, and over the new year, I was asking him if there was any kind of spots to do some new projects and stuff, and he's like, "Hey, man, we're trying to fill some daytime slots." So I came up with this pitch, and he was like, "Have at her." So there
Beautiful.
we go. That's the birth of it.
Right.
B-Real doing bong rips like that?
B-Real hit Duchess.
Oh, yeah.
I have a photo of B-Real hitting this bong right here. He
He's,
took a big monster pull off her and just clouded it
Yeah,
out.
he's got him, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's got skills on the bong.
He's for real. He's not posing or fronting in any way.
He definitely is not a poser. He puffed hard while he was
I've got to puff with a lot of people, a lot of them cannabis celebrities, and most of them cannot puff. And you know, they love the plant, they're passionate about it. They're part of communicating the message, and wicked, right? But it's always good to see somebody truly represent, and B-Real definitely does.
I get to jam with some of them. I can attest to that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's true. Hey, man, there's a lot of people. Yeah, I was up drinking with the alcoholics, and I was like, shit, I thought I outdrank the alcoholics. So
there you go. There you go.
They were drinking pretty good, though. So those guys aren't posers neither. Those guys aren't posers neither. We were smoking some mad weed with those guys, too. There's a lot of rappers who smoke a lot of weed.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I want to smoke with Snoop Dogg. I bet Snoop probably puffs down pretty hard. We got to get Snoop in the
I would
house.
hope so.
Didn't he say like 70 joints a day or something?
Yeah, I've heard him say a few different things before. He quit for a while, he said, but
I've also heard him say he was Bob Marley or something.
Oh, he did. He's the
Hard,
Bob Marley reincarnated, he says. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Snoop Lion.
Snoop Lion.
I still haven't heard that stuff.
Oh,
yet.
it's not
Have you
bad
heard it?
actually. Yeah, I have heard it.
When you've reached iconic status, you can just say whatever you want because you're an icon.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, sure.
It's
I quit
and
weed.
There's a few other celebrities.
Kind of like being a godhead.
What about Bieber? Bieber's been puffing down these days. Justin Bieber.
Go Justin.
What's his name? From Toronto, Myrna.
Oh yeah,
I
right.
guess he was saying something about Bieber
Matt
coming or
Myrnawana?
not coming to puff with him, and I thought, what the fuck is that?
Oh yeah, Bieber is puffing down. They TMZ published photos of him with a big blunt in his hand.
That's awesome.
But now there's a bunch of weird stuff going on. He's got a bunch of crazy rabid fans who do stupid shit. And I guess a bunch of these kids are like cutting themselves. And there was a hashtag that was trending. That was yes, it was cut for Bieber was the hashtag, and it was the #1 hashtag on Twitter. Yes.
Oh shit.
So
remember when
psychotic.
Slayer did it on the you know?
Right, but now it's Bieber. Right. Yeah.
That's
no,
crazy.
it's crazy. And also Rihanna is going to be here in Vancouver, and she's been
been
really
puffing. I saw that.
flaunting
She's
her
been puffing
herb.
tough too, eh?
She has been puffing.
Well,
tough.
hey, I'm putting this out there. Come on down, you know, and puff with us.
Puff with us.
Yeah.
You want to hang? Let's
Yeah,
hang.
yeah.
dude.
If you're
Let's
in
go take an
Vancouver,
instrument.
come on
The
down.
place to be if you're going to puff down in Vancouver. So
That's for sure.
let's talk a little bit more about what you guys are going to do on the show.
All right.
Now you got a bunch of hosts. And this is just a small portion. There's
Yeah,
a few more.
we're missing a couple. Mr. David Malmo-Levine is another potfessor, and the Bubbleman. He's he's the potfessor of trichomes.
Yeah.
He'll be teaching people about various things to do with sifting and the history of hashish. And we're not just gonna
Bubble hash making.
we're not just gonna leave this all just lessons. There's gonna be plenty of bud porn, you know, lots of you know, underground Canadian hip hop, lots of metal. So yeah, it's gonna be a really fun time.
Well, Al, if you're involved, of course, our audience has seen the Wednesday show, so I'm sure they're all viewers of From Under the Influence. They know the type of herb you bring to the show, and the bud cam and what you bring out of that backpack is a big draw on the air there.
That's for sure. I'm gonna expand the backpack this in the new year here and get some more slots for some more jars.
Slick backpack.
Oh yeah, they've got 2 more sizes though.
Oh.
Bigger ones?
You just need like a wagon that you pull along.
Yeah, so I think they have one of those.
A wagon.
Well,
Just
like
lug it.
like a carry-on.
You don't look like that thing from Labyrinth. At the, you know, the junk lady has got all this shit with her all the time.
Nice.
Oh wait, I got that weed. Hold on.
Al's compartments.
I kind of do resemble a drunk lady sometimes.
A junk lady, not drunk.
Oh wow.
Junk.
Sometimes I resemble a drunk lady.
That's true.
Get me high enough.
Yeah. Well, you wear a lot of when you're wearing your wig and your dress.
Well, that too. You know, I just turned into grandma.
Yeah, just the other day I was like, oh, excuse me.
Grandma Hash.
Hey, Al.
What's happening?
Oh, the suit's in the house.
We got the suit.
And look at that beard.
We got the suit in the
at that
house, and
beard.
he's rocking a beard.
That beard is thick. I love that thing.
I am the beardless.
Well, so yeah, I don't know. Do we want to say anything else about the show or what?
I don't know what else there is to say other than
tune in.
Tune
When does it
in
start
and,
though? When's the first episode?
First episode is this Tuesday.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
Coming soon.
yeah. So bring your bong and papers because class is in session, basically.
Yeah.
You know?
Very nice.
Think
Yeah, and-
marijuana, think music, think ideas, think marijuana, think marijuana, think marijuana.
History.
Yeah.
History.
And history
Right.
thereof.
So now, I was going to say, you were telling me earlier that the time slot is early in the afternoon, so not everybody's going to be able to watch this, or before the afternoon, 11 to 1.
Yeah.
Is this going to be made available on demand for people as well?
I believe it's going into the archives, yeah.
Okay, cool. So we can actually pick that up. Now, hopefully we'll be able to put that on Pod TV. I'd love to be able to just, embed it on the front page of Pod
Well,
TV.
I'm going to see about putting a link to it or some kind of something, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we'll
I
figure it
think
out
that-
one way or another. We'll do some negotiating with B-Reals people. Cool. Well, thanks, boys, for coming on. Much appreciated.
Right on. Thanks
as
for
usual.
having us. Thanks,
Always awesome.
thanks,
Give me
B,
some
for
bumps here.
letting us rock a show.
Boom, boom, boom. And yeah, we'll be checking in with you guys lots. Obviously, we'll be seeing what's happening on the air. Now, I heard B-Real when he was here, he said it was like 25 million viewers or something. Now, I don't know what that means or what that scope is.
I'm not sure. I know that for his show, I mean, he's a big deal, right? So it's like for his show,
he's got
it's
a few
like
shows, I think.
20,000, like the 420 show. It's like 20,000 viewers
At a time kind of thing. That's pretty dope.
Yeah. So I don't know. Hopefully we'll have a few hundred, few thousand. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see what
how it
happens.
goes.
I've got no expectations, and
Nice.
Yeah.
Excellent.
We're just gonna
Well,
see
I'm glad
how
to
it goes.
see it. I can't wait to see it. And what is this? Did you just throw this down?
yeah, that's a little bit of Hotaki.
Good name.
Yeah.
And look at that bud.
It's
It's so.
Nepali to blue. That's a little sample of some of the bud porn you can expect to see. I mean, that's a real shitty kind of. You can't tell because it's very dark. But we're gonna have a high def cam. We're also gonna have a macro cam, so that we'll be able to get right in and show people trichomes. We're gonna show people what bug damage looks like, what powdery mildew looks like, all sorts of things. So yeah, tune in. It's gonna fucking rock.
Woo! Al the Alchemist, and you can also find Al every Wednesday on From Under the Influence with Marijuana Man and Al the Alchemist.
Don't forget about that. That's where it all began.
That's where it all began. All right.
So we'll see you guys every Tuesday and Wednesday.
Tuesday, Wednesday,
Take care.
in the morning and in the afternoon, and of course From Under the Influence is 4 o'clock p.m. on Wednesdays, 4 p.m. every Wednesday. And now Opus Live is back, but Opus Live will be Mondays at 4 p.m. And of course there's a lot of programming coming out of Vapor Central every night, in Toronto on Pod TV, a lot of hilarious comedy stuff. Mike Rita's just so damn hilarious, man. I love Mike Rita. And I love Vapor Central. We love everybody out there in Toronto and right here in Vancouver. All right, so I got more videos to play. I need a glass of water. I wanted to talk a little bit about Aaron Sandusky. Now, Aaron is a medical marijuana operator who has been in big trouble with the feds, and now he's going to jail for 10 years. Unfortunately, they've gone after him. Now, it's kind of a long story, his story. I've got a couple of different videos to play here. This first one is from a couple goofs on the internet that I thought these guys were kind of funny. I don't know, I don't agree with everything they say, but they present some pretty good information in this little clip, and I thought it was funny enough to play for you guys. These guys are kind of funny. So tell me what you think of these guys. They're some internet, I don't know who these guys are, but I just found their website in this clip, but I'll probably tune in with them again to see what else they got. But anyways, check this out.
Hey guys, welcome back to SourceFed. I'm Steve Zaragoza.
I'm Joe Beretta.
So 42-year-old Aaron Sandusky is in trouble. I said Aaron, not Jerry. Okay. We good? Whew. Moving on.
Yeah.
Sandusky is the operator of 3 Southern California medical marijuana shops at G3 Holistics, Inc. He was also just sentenced to 10 years in jail for selling pot. 10 years. A decade. Both hands for selling pot.
Weed and weed business places are legal in California for medical reasons, but the feds don't recognize that as a legitimate use for the drug. According to the U.S. Attorney's Office, Sandusky was busted by federal authorities for distributing hundreds of pounds of marijuana. Hundreds. 10 of both hands.
That's a math joke. Sandusky was, okay, I can't keep calling him Sandusky, Joe.
It gives me the shivers.
I know, I can't do it. Let's just call him Aaron.
There's some really, really nice guys out in this world with the last name is Sandusky, and they're all
so what's your last name, sir?
Sandusky.
Oh, really?
Yeah, can I still get my license?
I'm sorry, you're gonna have to come back Wednesday, we're closed.
It wasn't me!
Aaron was convicted in a federal court on Friday of 2 pot-related counts. The first is conspiracy to manufacture marijuana plants and maintain a drug-involved premises, and the second count is possession of marijuana plants with intent to distribute.
Intent to distribute.
Dun dun.
It sounds unfair, but in order to run a legal marijuana dispensary in California, said dispensary must be a non-profit organization. Aaron, according to the Los Angeles federal court's sentencing memo stated, is an unrepentant manipulator who used the perceived ambiguity surrounding medical marijuana to exploit a business opportunity for himself. Also, dude was warned back in like 2011 to shut down his pot shops, which he shut down 2 of the 3. And despite 2 search warrant raids and federal asset forfeiture at his Upland store, he kept on selling. He's a trooper. Not a smart guy, but he is a trooper.
Not a smart guy at all, Joe. And also, according to that same note, Joe just beautifully quoted, Aaron used G3 as a means to replace vast income he lost from collapse of his real estate business. Defendant built a veneer of legitimacy around his criminal enterprise using his customers' good faith search for pain relief. There is absolutely no altruistic component to defendant's continued and sustained criminality.
All those words being thrown together in that statement would never be thrown together in that statement by somebody just like sitting there talking. It was written and calculated by 17 people in a boardroom. They're like, okay, how can we fit a bunch of these big multisyllabic words together?
Yeah, I know what I want to say, but I don't want to just say straight words.
Okay, so the dude's a criminal. He broke federal law, but there's still tons of money being spent to catch these types of criminals and send them to jail for 10 plus years for making a profit off of something that is sold legally and illegally daily. No matter what, we're going to be paying tax dollars to keep this guy fed and comfortable in jail when there's rapists and murderers and downright evil jerks that legitimately deserve to be in prison.
God, that was beautiful, Joe. Which is weird for me to say since I wrote that for you to say.
I'm your puppet!
But we also talked a little bit about it earlier in the writer's room, and we both kind of agreed on the same subject, so it's kind of a mix of both of us talking.
We are the same person.
When the two become one.
That's a Spice Girls song.
I need your
Yeah, it's really
like
good.
I never knew before.
That's wrong, but it's really good.
Okay. Also, we kind of have to mention that the whole California legality of marijuana is kind of like, it's very vague. Like, there isn't really specifics on the legality of how to sell marijuana. Are dispensaries legal?
I mean, non-profit, profit, medical, non-medical, recreational, all that stuff, it really doesn't matter when the federal government's like, we're just going to come in and tell you to stop, because that's kind of endgame right there.
So the question we want to ask you guys is, why do you think the federal government insists on keeping marijuana illegal? What is the benefit? What are they doing? Why are they doing this? Why are they taking the people down? Why am I doing this with my hands?
It's like the shitty Macarena.
As I'm doing this thing with my hand, I lift and I pick it up and put it on over here. Lift it up again.
Been doing this for 3 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. Why are they doing it, Joe?
I don't know. Maybe they can tell us. Why don't you tell us in the comment spot down below? And when you're done doing that little thing, you can like the video, subscribe to the channel, click annotation for more videos on SourceFed at the YouTube channel, or you can go to sourcefed.com and see all of our blog stuff. I'm Joe Beretta.
I'm Steve Zaragoza.
We've turned into animatronic robots.
Yeah, I was like, you know, I live in Vancouver. You know, that's my crew, that's my fucking place to be. And it's like, God, man.
All right. All right. So those guys. I wasn't. It looked like I was laughing at those guys right now, but I actually wasn't. I was laughing at something that was happening across the room. Not to say that those guys aren't funny, because I thought they kind of were, but kind of. But anyways, I thought that was a kind of a good explanation of what's going on with Aaron's case as well, and it gives you the government's opinion of that as well and what they were saying. Now, I have a better video here from Reason.tv about the case I wanted to play for you, and I'll just play that right now, and then I'm going to hit the bong on the other side, so see you in a sec.
So Aaron was in full compliance with California law, but the federal government says the California law is irrelevant.
Aaron Sandusky has been sentenced to 10 years in federal prison for his role in operating the medical marijuana dispensaries known as G3 Holistic in California's Inland Empire. Reason TV has documented Sandusky's continued legal battle since November 2011. It's a fight that he's always said he's been willing to take to the finish.
I'm going to defend what I believe is right. And if I have to go to jail for 20 years defending, then so be it.
After the sentencing, Sandusky's lawyer and supporters gathered in front of the courthouse to sound off about what they see as a miscarriage of justice.
He had a trial where there was no defense because he admitted that he cultivated and distributed marijuana. And so today was the sentencing day, and under federal law, he had to receive a minimum of a 10-year sentence.
The medical marijuana movement is strong and it's growing in popularity. This judge needs to catch up with the times, but what happened today was just the height of injustice.
During the sentencing, Judge Percy Anderson said, "I'm going to take a stand for the rule of law is what I'm going to do in this case," and that Sandusky had lost his way about what's right and wrong, his moral compass.
The smugness of the judges and the officials in the room, they had an appearance of looking upon us with pity, like we were so misguided. And in fact, the judge said that in his sentencing of Mr. Sandusky, that we are lost. And I think that to say that 40 or 50% of the United States populace is lost is reflecting that they're completely out of touch.
We disagree as to what the rule of law is. We say that under the Commerce Clause, the federal Congress does not have the authority to pass laws regulating marijuana distribution totally within one state, such as California. So we're also upholding or trying to uphold the rule of law, just that our notion of what the law is includes the Constitution, not just statutes passed by Congress.
Sandusky made a statement to the court and did not express remorse for selling medical marijuana, but instead said, "I want to apologize to the people indicted with me. They were victimized by the federal government."
He wasn't sure whether he was going to speak because what they want you to do, the government wants you to do when you're in the sentencing, they want you to have remorse and they want you to, apologize and to feel like, I'm sorry, I committed a crime, I'm not going to do this. Well, he doesn't feel that. He still feels really strongly about his decisions, about what he was doing. He feels that what he was doing was right. He's very passionate and very caring and generous, and everybody here that is here to support him have been witness to that.
The next step here is to file the notice of appeal and take this case to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit. Hopefully we'll get a better reception. but it does require a little judicial creativity in following the Constitution as opposed to statutes.
Do you feel like this has all been worth it?
You know, I have mixed feelings, obviously, for reasons. I don't want him to be in prison. He doesn't belong there. He doesn't deserve to be there. And it's not worth it because the outcome is not the outcome that you would ultimately want, but it's not over. And I do stand behind him 100%. This is something that he feels strongly about, and, you know, unfortunately, we're in the position that we're in now, but I still stand behind him.
All right. So the feds in the U.S. are still going after medical marijuana community in California and other places. And Obama's saying that they're going to leave, pardon me, users in Washington and Colorado alone. But he hasn't really said anything about the industry that's bound to pop up there. That's kind of been the theme of the show today. So, yeah, there's definitely a lot of attention in the media. Pardon me. I should probably have a drink here from my We Love Vancouver water bottle. There's definitely been a lot of attention to this issue in the media lately on all fronts, basically, like talk shows and news programs, everything you can think of. The pot issue has been popping up. And even on Ricky Lake, marijuana has been popping up. Ricky Lake, of course, daytime television. It's like one of those Jerry Springer type shows, but maybe a little more serious. And Ricky had on Cheryl Schumann, who is a well-known activist, and she's done a lot of stuff in the pot movement. She's really great, actually, a friend of ours, too. And she had a few parents on who were talking about their 7-year-old who uses, a 7-year-old girl who uses marijuana for her cancer, actually, as relief, I guess. And so I'm going to play a video, these 2 videos from Ricky Lake for you guys to check out.
You are speaking out about using cannabis on your 7-year-old. What kind of reaction have you gotten from the community?
Very supportive.
Yeah, mostly positive. People seem to understand that when you're fighting cancer with a child, that almost anything is acceptable to help treat it and save their life.
There
make
are.
them feel better.
There have been some people who have been against it, and in my opinion, those people don't know what it's like to stand in our shoes, to watch your child be so terribly ill and suffering pain, puking, and not being able to stop it. They haven't necessarily been in that position before, so I don't feel like they completely understand. But for the majority of the people have been completely supportive.
And so coming forward, I mean, do you feel like, what do you want your message to be for others? I mean, because it is a state-by-state thing. You have to live in certain states where it's legal. I guess, what is sort of the word you want to leave with everyone about your plight? And
parents that have children, to be a parent and watch your child suffer is the very, very worst thing you can imagine. Whether it's cancer, epilepsy, autism, ADD, any of those, watching your child suffer from is heartbreaking as a parent. And we turn to the medical field expecting them to give us all the answers, and sometimes they can't. And there are other options out there for people who feel let down by the medical field or feel like that Western medicine isn't working for them. There's options, and that's why we're sharing our story, so that if there's other parents out there, that they know that there are other options that they could try that can potentially help their child.
So you were being treated with morphine and other major opiates. What was the feeling like versus what it's like treating yourself with cannabis?
I was taking 27 different pharmaceuticals. I was on an intravenous morphine pump, and most of my medication was administered intravenously. I was basically a vegetable. I had a colostomy, I had a catheter, I couldn't go to the bathroom by myself, I couldn't shower by myself. By using alternative treatments with cannabis oils, cannabis juices, within 90 days, I was not only able to walk and talk again, but I'm working full-time and have a number of companies that I work with and represent in developing products to treat cancer patients.
So can I ask for, that's amazing. We have some video of you, Cheryl, during one of your many hospital visits. Let's take a look at that.
So I'm here, my back is really killing me and they can't give you the pain medication. They've had me on morphine here for several days. Got me in the wheelchair. That's my gallbladder over there, liver. I really want out of the hospital. I miss my dogs. I miss being home. I'm tired. So I hope that we can get to the bottom of everything, and I just want everything to be over because I'm just kind of tired of dealing with all this stuff. I guess I'm not as tough a cookie as I thought.
You look like a different human being.
You know, it makes me so sad when I remember those times because I was ready to die. I was ready to die.
And now you're helping this family. Can we talk about treating a 7-year-old? Is it the same thing because it's, you know, a child that we're talking about?
Well, here's the thing about cancer. Cancer doesn't discriminate on age. You can be 52 like I am, or you can be 7 years old. The bottom line is these patients need treatment, and cancer I've found and a number of people found to be not only an effective treatment, but it saves lives. It saved my life, and that's why I've dedicated the rest of my life to being an activist, to working in this industry and helping people.
And I know you've brought a bunch of stuff here to show us, educate us all on ways in which we can use medical marijuana.
Okay, well, here's my Martha Stewart of marijuana time.
All right.
Most people, when they think of marijuana, they think about the ground herb here. This is not real marijuana, but this is what most people think of. They think of a joint or a pre-roll or a doob or what have you. They pull it out of a doob tube and then they smoke it. However, cannabis today is a multi-billion-dollar industry. It's a $1.7 billion industry, and what people don't know is you can juice cannabis. You can use it in oils, butters, tinctures, so anything that you cook with, you can do cannabis-infused cooking. This is a great example of some edibles. You can make cookies, brownies, lemon bars.
Those look good.
They're really, and they're delicious. They really are.
And I am a little hungry.
But what's happening, and you've seen it all over the news, 60 Minutes was just talking about the industry. It's a $1.7 billion industry. This is some samples of some medicated chocolates. The packaging is fabulous. These are some hard candies. And then if you want
I do have a little bit of a sore throat.
But this is the latest vaporizer. It's called a CannaCig. And this product basically is an e-cig for cannabis oil. And what I like about it is anywhere you can use an e-cig, you can use this.
I don't even know what an e-cig is. What's an e-cig?
Electronic cigarette.
Okay.
See, there's just a slight bit of vapor.
And there's no marijuana in there right now.
I put peanut oil in it just for the show.
Okay.
But it's great because it's the same oil that cancer patients use. It's the same oil that Michaela uses, I use, and it's a much healthier, effective way to use cannabis, and it's very discreet. I always laugh because I keep mine right here in between Thelma and Louise.
Thelma and Louise. So does Michaela smoke this? No.
No.
How does she get her medicine administered?
She takes it in a capsule form. She takes 0.5 grams twice a day.
Of the oil?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much.
Well, one thing I have to tell you, this company, I have talked to them, they have agreed to donate 15% of all their profits for Michaela's health care.
That is wonderful.
Oh. All right, so, are we there? Oh, they were there. Nice. All right, so that was Ricky Lake. Yeah, and somebody said they didn't know she was still alive. I didn't actually realize either. I didn't know she was still doing her thing. Ricky Lake, I guess so. Anyways, yeah, I guess I'm gonna have one more bong rip with y'all before the end of the show. Marius, do you want to come and have a bong rip, brother?
She looks pretty clean. All right.
Come and have a bong rip. Marius is trying to keep off the bong rips these days, he said, but
I'm not very good with that.
I'm using peer pressure, encouraging him as much as possible. I'm just joking.
Doing bong rips
I wouldn't pressure you.
over a year, and I'm just not very good at.
Well, you don't have to have one. Oh, you're good at them.
I'm standing in front of the camera, and now he tells me I don't have to have one.
I never said you. I would never force you to take a bong rip. That's ridiculous. If you don't want one, you don't have to have one at all. You said you thought Duchess looked clean.
After a certain threshold, it becomes harder and harder to say no. Even
That's
though
right.
You know
you want to get high. All the cool kids are doing it. Well, that was a good show. Thanks to everybody for coming on today. The big troop from Class in Session. You guys can check that out on the B-Real.tv network at B-Real.tv. And that's 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Tuesdays, Pacific time. That should be fun. That's starting next Tuesday. And of course, you can see Al the Alchemist on From Under the Influence on Pod TV here. Adam Bowen, you can see down on Jam Night here, jamsinthekeyagreen.com. You can find out more about Adam Bowen there. Chris Bennett, you can find out more at forbiddenfruitpublishing.ca.com, something like that. These are all off the top of the head here. And who else was on? Who else was up from? Oh, DML's in the house.
I got the H1N7.
John Corry?
No, Rob Corry I also wanted to thank, but there was somebody else here from Class in Session, wasn't there? I was giving everybody's information.
No mouth kisses today, man. I'm contagious.
Chris Bennett, you always said...
You're contagious, David?
Eating away through me.
What's the issue?
Oh, I got the achies.
You got the what?
Achies.
Oh, you got the achies.
Yeah, I got the
Do you want to come on and talk or say anything? You missed the class. You're a Class in Session guy as well. So DML's in the house.
Wouldn't want to spread these to my worst enemy.
I see. He doesn't want to spread his bugs.
But I love you guys. Keep up the good work.
Okay. You know, and I feel really bad about forgetting who else was on with us just now. Al, who was the other person on with us? We had Adam Bowen, Chris Bennett, you. Arash was on. Arash was here as well from YMD Medical Dispensary here in Vancouver. I'm just giving everybody's information. What's the YMD website address? Do we know that? Yaletown Medical Dispensary.com. YaletownMedicalDispensary.com. There you go.
I think it's in Yaletown.
You would be right about that. And Rob Corry from Club 64. You can find out more about Club 64 in the show notes. There's a link to it. And if you type in Club 64 Colorado in Google, you'll find a link right to their website. I don't have that web address in front of me, but thanks for tuning in, Pod TV. Marius, thanks for running things. We had a few little sound issues at the beginning, but everything worked out okay. These things happen sometimes. Marius Stoner.
Well, it's actually the soundboard is like I turn on the mics and I turn off the mics, you know, and then I forget the mics have been turned on or off often. So I'm working on that. I'm working on keeping my attention poised on that thing.
Right. Well, maybe less bong rips before the show and after setup. Or, maybe it's because you didn't have a bong rip before.
Don't go through life with that theory anyway and
no,
never really work.
I think it's that you didn't have enough bong rips beforehand and that one was throwing you off. You haven't had a bong rip for a few days, so.
I like that theory better.
You can now because we're just about to finish the show, Willie. All right, go for it, brother. The lounge wants music. And anyways, Pod TV, we're hitting the road. We'll see you guys next Friday. We'll be back again, of course. You can find myself and Marius on From Under the Influence on Wednesday. And actually, you won't see us on Opus Live anymore on Mondays because he's going to be filming it from his house now. So that's 4 p.m. on Monday, so check it out.
It's more efficient that way, all that travel time for a show.
It's hard for him to come over from the Vancouver Island all the way to Vancouver here all the time.
I'll miss him.
Yeah, it was fun doing the show here in studio, but Mick has a cool little thing going on at home too, so he could use that as a perfect backdrop for his show. Anyways, 4 o'clock now. It changed from 3 to 4. That's right. All right. Well, anyways, we'll see you soon. Pod TV loves you.